Okay, gentlemen, anything right here, I'm gonna call it good. Anything right here, I'm gonna call it good. Careful with the back of the heads. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourselves at all times. When I call for a break, give me a clean break. Touch them up. Let's go.
Referee Sade Murda, 13 years pro experience, working his 246 professional fight. Gary Antoine Russell, 5-year pro. This will be just his 40th professional round. A lot more experience on the other corner. Rances Barthelemy facing his 3rd consecutive left-handed opponent. Bell, round 1, scheduled for 10 at 140 pounds, and Russell, known for his explosive starts, immediately takes the fight to Barthelemy, and already going to the body and upstairs, already diversifying his attack out.
You know, in his last 6 fights, tracked by show stats, he's landed 159 punches in the first round compared to only 51 for his opponent. He's a fast starter, and we're seeing it right here.
When you include the postal fight, 37.5% of his connects are to the body, well above the nearly 30% average in the division. And goes to the body with the left and the right.
And now we're also seeing Barthelemy in this first round willing to trade against the heavy-handed Russell. I would think that he, you know, especially in this first round, he would come and use that reach.
Oh, nice right-left combination. You're right, Abner, where the talk was if Barthelemy were to be successful, that would be his best mode of attack. And again, utilizing the pedigree from the Cuban boxing school. But he told us, he says he needs to bounce back. He knows this is an opportunity to restore some of the luster of his career, knocking off a guy who has been unstoppable thus far.
See, and Russell's always in command, you know, in this fight you see it in the first round and in other fights because he knows how to use that jab really well. So Barthelemy has to take that jab away from Russell.
And Barthelemy switches to lefty. Russell has never faced a lefty as a professional, certainly as an amateur, but not as a professional.
Watch your heads, fellas, watch your heads.
By the way, Barthelemy now coached by Henry Cuellar, who was his original trainer as a pro.
Coming up on the final minute of what has been a typical fast start for Gary Antoine Russell, and he's managed to get Rances Barthelemy to fight his kind of fight. Barthelemy going downstairs.
And Barthelemy just ate an overhand hook.
But Barthelemy hits him with the right hand, and Russell forced to clinch. So Barthelemy bothering Russell with that punch. The first real adversity we have seen Gary Antoine Russell in.
Yeah, you can tell something bothered Russell because he's holding on.
Yes, he is. Under 30 seconds left. Russell launches a left. That lands upstairs, and Russell looking to channel the grief into what he said would be a nightmare scenario for Rances Barthelemy. Well, for Gary Antoine Russell, he's had to deal with some adversity here in the first round.
Nice right hand by Barthelemy that really got his attention.
And he continues to get his attention. Barthelemy now coming forward. And yet the IQ of Russell on display when he was hurt by holding on. Wow, what a round.
Oh, my. He hurt Russell again right at the end of that round. Early on, as he often does, but then Barthelemy, look at him land. I mean, that is a strong right hand. No wonder Russell was stunned. And then at the end of the round, Russell had a good moment with the left hand there. But right at the end of the round, also Barthelemy hurt him with another punch.
By far the biggest shot that Gary Antoine Russell has been hit with in his burgeoning career. He's never been down as a pro, but dealing with adversity from Rances Barthelemy, who has 15 knockout wins of his own. But now Russell coming out aggressively, going to work to the body and upstairs on Barthelemy. Lead right hook lands upstairs.
Yeah, Russell definitely trying to make a statement, prove to Barthelemy that he wasn't hurt. He's got the power. Now Russell needs to throw more straight punches because Barthelemy, you know, he gets a little crazy in there. He's landing the overhand right there. So Russell with the straight punches will get him first.
Nice series of left hands as Russell stepped to the right.
Barthelemy found his success as a righty, even though he switches back and forth. So he might want to stay as a righty a little bit more and use that right hand as he did.
And Barthelemy telling us that he knows Russell, someone who comes forward. He likes to be more of a counterpuncher, and boy, landed a sweet right hand in the opening frame. 1 minute gone here in round 2. And Russell now trying to build behind the jab. His brother, his chief second, telling him, do not be lackadaisical.
Now we see Barthelemy switching left. And I think that's, honestly, I think that's when he does more damage against Russell.
You like him as a lefty?
Yeah, I do.
I stand corrected.
Midpoint of the second stanza. Southpaw Barthelemy flicking away at the jab. Russell continues to make the investment to the body. Combination upstairs.
When he goes back to right, he eats a lot of left hands from Russell.
Russell's landed a lot of blows, as one would expect, and more than Barthelemy, but Barthelemy has had the most eye-catching shot of the fight.
Which is really strange, because he's not known as the power puncher.
No, he's not. Final minute of the second. Barthelemy along the ropes, both of them going to the body.
Beautiful right hook from Russell. He's got to follow it up now with that left hand.
Lead right by Barthelemy, straight down the middle. Of course, that considered to be one of the biggest enemies of the southpaw. Barthelemy's had himself a decent start again. Russell with the advantage in terms of punches landed, but Barthelemy proving to offer up questions that Russell has yet to have to answer thus far in his career, and part of the maturation process, the growth, the evolution of a career after becoming the first person to stop Victor Postal in tough against the former 2-division champion Rances Barthelemy. But tasted a sweet shot from Rances Barthelemy early in the fight. And now as we begin round 3, Russell continues to put on the pressure, trying to build behind the jab, and Barthelemy going to work on the body, and the bigger Barthelemy in terms of height.
Yeah, he definitely took advantage of that, weird turn that Russell did, but it was more the push that Barthelemy gave him. But, he did not hesitate to go on top of him. Now Russell got to, go back to be more relaxed. I think he's putting too much power on those punches, and they're coming in slow. He's got to relax a little bit more in this round.
I want to correct myself. I said Henry Cuellar. It is Orlando Cuellar, who is the trainer of Barthelemy, who worked with him in the beginning of his career. We're seeing good body work by both men, and Barthelemy is a good body puncher as well. Close to 40% of the punches he lands are body punches.
And Russell beginning to put together some combinations, and yeah, Russell with a big edge over Barthelemy, as one would expect, although like you mentioned, Al, Barthelemy has had some success, and a midway point of the 3rd round. You want young fighters to be tested, Abner, and Gary Antoine Russell.
Yeah, definitely a big test.
Put through an exam here, and
it's a good fight. It's a good fight. Well tested, against Barthelemy. Barthelemy doing the right things right now. He's boxing more, but, he's waiting a little bit too long. He's got to counter right off that, those punches from Russell.
Barthelemy flicks his jab while Russell feints, tries to get in. Good short right hand to the body by Barthelemy.
See, just like that, right off the jab, Barthelemy came with that hook.
Barthelemy has a knack for slowing fights down, and to some degree, he's even done that a little bit here. Only 30-some punches thrown by Russell in this round. That's rare for him.
Yeah, both of them right now credited with throwing, well, Barthelemy now 39 and Russell 38. So you're right, Al. He's definitely muting the offense of Gary Antoine Russell, although Russell leads with a right hook upstairs.
And this is a close round in this fight.
No, and the reason he's doing that is because Barthelemy has a response for every punch that Russell has, so he's making him think more.
With more on the 140-pound division, let's go to Steve Farhood.
On August 20 on Showtime, Alberto Puello and Batir Akhmedov will fight for the vacant WBA title. The former champ Jose Ramirez is expected to fight Jose Zepeda for the vacant WBC title. So lots of talent in this division, Mo. We're going to see a lot of that talent on Showtime.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Steve, and some good stuff in the beginning of this 140-pound tilt as Francis Barthelemy. We begin round 4, nicknamed Kid Blast. Well, first Cuban champion was a guy named Kid Chocolate who heavily influenced the reason the pound-for-pound lists exist. Sugar Ray Robinson loved Kid Chocolate, and well, Kid Blast and his fans, they had to love the first round, and he's been very competitive in this fight.
It's been, you know, we mentioned that he has a way of kind of deadening fights, but this one, even when he's controlled the pace, it's still been interesting.
And Russell sitting down on his punches, 3-punch combination.
You know, Gary Russell Jr., his brother, did a wonderful job in his fight against Victor Postol, working as the lead trainer for the first time in his brother's corner. And I credit him with making that fight a more dominant win for his brother, because he's the one that urged Russell to use his right hook more often. And tonight we're seeing that punch from him.
Gary Russell Jr. had surgery on his shoulder, doesn't know when he will return to action, but is definitely enjoying his role as the chief second in the midst of the loss of the Patriarch. Another good combination.
Yeah, you know, Barthelemy landed a nice left hand from the southpaw stance there.
Yeah, and I was about to mention that Russell was using feints and he was being more defensively responsible. And boom, he ate that left. But he is, you know, Russell is, he's trying something different in this round.
Of course he did that, because you were thinking. This has been a decent round for Barthelemy.
Oh, right up, or left uppercut landed for Barthelemy. And he's making it rough and tumble for Russell.
That's where that experience comes in.
Yep, all the tricks. Wow. Under a minute left in the fourth.
And we talked about going southpaw, man. I'm telling you, he's trouble when he's southpaw.
Yeah.
Loading up.
At first, I wasn't sure, even though I put it in the keys, but now I'm with you on that one, Abner.
And Barthelemy sitting down on punches, goes back to orthodox.
And you know, this match is being fought at a certain pace. Again, they're on pace to throw a little over 40-some punches around. That's not what Gary Antoine Russell likes to be in terms of volume. He likes to be higher than that.
Again, you know, it's the experience for Barthelemy. Every time he throws something, or he wants Russell to stop throwing, he makes him smother the punches. He gets him really close. There it is.
Barthelemy comes back, goes to the body. Oh. Here tonight.
He said, I'm bringing him in with his A game, and Orlando Claire is about being more aggressive. Listen, he worked with Glenn Johnson all those years, and man, he was Mr. Aggression.
Yes. Worked with light heavyweight champions Johnson and Antonio Tarver, but doing good work with Francis Barthelemy as Russell trying to find the distance, pops off a left uppercut on the inside to the face of Barthelemy.
And what's happening in this fight, obviously, aside from the experience that Barthelemy has, he has a response every time for whatever Russell throws. And Russell's not used to that. Russell's used to landing a hard shot and damaging fighters.
And you know, Russell's doing a lot of good work in there.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
No question. But the way Barthelemy is fighting this fight is kind of surprising.
Minute gone in the fifth. Statistically speaking, Russell still ahead, but again, picking up that experience that is necessary. And we, of course, talked, as did everyone. How would he respond?
Yeah.
Having lost his father, he said he's still obviously grieving. How would he channel it?
I think that Russell needs to take a little step back, take a breather, and recollect himself and be smarter as far as how he comes in. He's not throwing that jab anymore.
Right, good point. That's a great point, Adam.
Speaking of being smart, he says that he's able to carry multiple game plans and adjust on the fly. That's what he feels is what separates him from his opponents, but Barthelemy is right there, and both of them exchanging. Russell now trying to unload on Barthelemy. Barthelemy leaning in on Russell.
And the right hook is back for Russell, and that's a big punch for him. He's starting to throw it again.
Let those punches flow. At first he was overpowering the punches, overloading on the punches.
Final minute of the fifth. Lead right hook upstairs, and the jab left from Russell. But again, Al, you look at the numbers. I mean, they are neck and neck in terms of punches thrown and even punches landed in this round. Another very close round.
And again, even though
and Barthelemy is blinking and getting into a fight with Russell.
It's just fascinating. It really is.
I mean, they are exchanging blow for blow.
And in my keys, I had Barthelemy. You don't want to sit and trade with the heavy-handed Russell, but it's working for him.
Right. And we are at the midway point of this 140-pound affair between the undefeated Gary Antoine Russell and former two-division champ Rances Barthelemy. Let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, Mauro, thank you.
Boxing match at this venue, October 2012. Wins the title rematch with Mexican legend Eric Morales. He'll take on Jose Benavidez Jr. later tonight. 154. Action resumes at 140. Referee calls for a timeout.
Right here.
Do a little housekeeping in the Russell corner.
Time in.
And the second half of this 140-pound fight begins, and the plot thickens. So much to talk about in the first half of that fight, Al.
Boy, there is. And, you know, that fifth round, I think, could be an interesting and key round. Very close round. You don't know how the judges are going to see it. But it was an intriguing round. And I still believe that one of the things that Russell may need to do more is get that right hook going. And he started in the last round.
But you know what's making it difficult is this guy Barthelemy switching softball.
Yes.
There,
There's the shot, and Rances Barthelemy goes down.
6, 7.
Third time in his career. Referee Sade Murdoch, 13 years pro experience, working his 246th professional fight, has just stopped the fight.
You hear Orlando Cuellar, he's upset.
Oh, he has drawn the ire of the Barthelemy corner.
There's no need to go against the corner of Russell. That's not his fault.
The body language says it all. It's incredible that Orlando Cuellar is livid. Let's take a look at the finish of this fight, Al. Much to the surprise of everyone.
Well,
not to him.
I said the right hook would be an important weapon about 20 seconds before he threw it, and he did, and it worked. But here is where, now let's take a look, Barthelemy. Now, yes, of course, he's getting up, and a little rugged getting up. There he is. Let's take a look. He walks forward, gives him his gloves, shakes his head, and the fight gets stopped. Honestly, we're very loath to criticize referees, especially when they stop fights. It's hard to imagine why that fight was stopped. Let's take another look at it. And Orlando Cuellar, rightfully, I think, distressed. Now, there's the right hook from Russell. Hard to land that from outside so wide. He did it, right? And you made the point, it was not easy for him to land, but he got it in. And clearly a great punch. It hurt Barthelemy. It put him down. And then the next part of the story is where the controversy comes in. And also, it was fairly early in the round. Right. So certainly Barthelemy could have been in trouble the rest of the round, but we would like to know whether he was going to be.
See, and that's the thing now we won't get to know.
All right, let's listen to the referee at the time of the knockdown. Let's listen to referee Murdon, what he was saying.
Down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Walk to me. No, 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 no.
Wow. Francis Barthelemy has just tasted defeat. Much
well, we look at the
we
look at the final numbers here, and you can see this was a competitive and interesting fight for sure. The 46% power punches landed by Russell, very impressive. He does that. It's part of his signature. He got his right hook working in this fight, and that was ultimately what ended up stopping the fight, though many would feel not appropriately. And let's listen.
What a way for Gary Russell's knockout streak to continue. He's 16-0 with 16 knockouts. Great sportsmanship here.
He's a good fighter. The ref just didn't give him a chance. They both hurt each other. But
while we get the official announcement from Jimmy Lennon Jr., let's take a look at what is coming up in the Bellator MMA cage. Friday, August 12th, Bellator 282 from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It is a couple of submission specialists going at it at welterweight. Naaman Gracie, well, he's on the hunt for the submission. Said we did it, Dad. Gary Antoine Russell remains undefeated. 16-0, 16 knockouts, showcase the power with that right hook. But this decision will be debated in terms of the referee stopping the fight when he did, especially as to how competitive it was. But let's talk to the winner. Here's Jim Gray.
All right, Mauro, thank you very much. Ask the referee for a comment. He will not